Good morning, Viet Dong. Something. Hello, Ronnie. Hello. Wait, did I just see Whip in the house? Good to see you. Aries, or somebody just saying hello. Hello, Jeffreezy. Good to see you. Give us an update if you're up for it. Hello, totally awesome. Oh man, before I can forget today, I keep forgetting to put in Jay Gutta's GoFundMe, so I need to put that one in. See if I can find it, copy it, share it with Yins. Give me a minute. Getting there, guys. I don't know the way the link's in there if I'm going to be able to get it into YouTube, but I'll be able to get it into Rumble. Yeah, totally not going to work on YouTube. It's going to have to clean that one up before I can make it work. Give me a second, guys. Other than that, it's good to see everybody. Hello, Young at Heart. Hello, Kenneth. Good video on Stupid Sluggo. An absolutely great one. Absolutely a great one. Oh boy, yeah. It's not going to let me do it. Somebody that has, yeah. All right. Trying to keep up with you all. And man, y'all aren't slowing down today, starting with questions. Mr. Austin Martin, Mark would lump Dubai 1 and 2 into part of the global settlements, or is pots of monies not related to that? Yes, I would lump it into global settlements. Not that that's where 100% of it goes, but arguably enough that that's where you lump it. Let's see. Does anyone else think it's kind of funny that the Save America Act passed the House, and then we hear Iraq's going to have their president today? Sounds like things are just coming together, except for Richard. They have really fumbled the ball on that part. We're going to talk about that too. Hello, Jay and Amy. I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing. Kathy, I am glad you watched the video on Stupid. Explains a lot, doesn't it? Tom, I wish I could explain that one. He calls himself the Asian guy. There's 5 or 6 knockoffs, other people using the same AI. It's not as easy as saying that because it's used for hundreds of accounts. Yeah, I know that's not helping you at all. And that's the bad part is I don't know a good way to tell you. Fly to be free. It is good to have you in the house. Patriot, I've asked them over and over if the plan's still to go on a 3-day weekend. They said it would be preferable, but not necessary. Kathy, Iraq fumbled the ball or the Senate? Probably both. We're going to talk about it, though. Nobody panic. Yeah, wife and I've been Tahoe Builder saying wife and I've been waiting since March 2020 for disclosure. Here it comes. Yeah, it is coming hard and it is coming fast. Who needs a Black Swan event? When you have a satanic cult of baby eating bankers, CEOs, bureaucrats. I mean, the level of evil is something. I mean, some of the other things that are referenced in those files, time travel, all kinds of evilness, satanic, occult stuff, snuff films, just absolutely and utterly morally bankrupt. And we're all worried about everything else. I'm just afraid too many people are just incapable of waking up. I've said it before. For a video about Stupid, it sure made a lot of sense. Biz, yes, it did. And if you folks don't know what I am referring to, I will share it. Do you even touch politics, Annie? I try not to, right? Do you agree there's no way to clean up all the corrupt? Iraq will just have to move forward. Yes, I do. I believe there's an acceptable amount, right, wrong, or indifferent. No black swan event needed. We have enough demons attacking us the way it is. Sharon, exactly what Sharon said. Yeah, who needs any of that? Who needs a scare? We're living in reality. Far scarier than fiction. Something's brewing. You can feel it. The problem, you never know the full story until after the files release, after the crash. Oh, wait, after the crash, after the collapse, after it's too late. And here's the brutal truth: you can't protect yourself after. You have to be ready now. All this uncertainty, the chaos, warning signs, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's just noise, but maybe it's the beginning of something bigger. Nobody knows for sure, but waiting to find out. That's how people get hurt. Physical gold and silver aren't just investments, they're preparation. They're the foundation of real protection. Friends over at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. No pressure, no games, just proven insight when it matters most. Look, you're either prepared or you're not. Which one will you be when everything changes overnight? Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or markzgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit. You get to download it, get it quick. Remember, the prepared don't panic because they're well prepared. Two you want to watch is Asian guy and John A.G. Can you, Wally? I've never taken the time to filter through and find out which ones are their real pages. If you can find good links for those, send them to me for when people ask. Alex, a good bit, but what are you trying to find out about the historical gold bearer bonds? I know that they are getting really popular with treasury buyers right now. Blue eyed, yep. What's happening with Judy Shelton? We don't know. There's about a 95% chance it'll be Warsh, Kevin Warsh, and about a 4 or 5% chance it'll be Judy Shelton at this point. I think there's a better chance for Judy long term, but those are the current odds. Have you seen the guy that does like comparing gold and silver to other historical things like cows, cattle, houses? Pretty cool. The guy's like a cattle farmer. Really interesting as he draws those correlations. Hello, Frank. Rosie said market goes through the Vatican and through the castles, missing Indian children in Canada. Oh, some of the stories of what has happened to some of the indigenous people in Canada. Yeah, for me, Canadian government can take it and bite it and suck it when they talk about America, the U.S., and how they handled Indian nations. We did not handle it well. Canada took that and said, "Here, hold my Molson." Look at what China did to the Mongolians. This is his I mean, unfortunately, human history is replete with entirely too many examples of this one. Stupid video not available on YouTube. Sure it is. Got to be. Let's do that. Too many folks in here have watched it on YouTube for it not to be available, and it's just a fantastic one. If those for you folks that don't study history, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. What an interesting, realistic mind. Drop that one in there, please, folks, if you can watch it. It will explain a lot. It'll also explain to you why we should save ourselves a certain level of frustration. And it also gives you an idea of when we come out of this stupid, and you won't like that answer. But gives you what is most likely the outcome of all of this craziness. And what are you saying? Dietrich was of the opinion, and you guys have heard me say something similar to it, that I believe that many of the people that are woke but not awake, they don't want to admit how bad it is because then they have to take some kind of personal responsibility for it. Then they can no longer sit there and play pretend. They have to do something. Dietrich takes it and probably gets a little more to some of the root of it. His point is that it's a preservation mechanism for people, that they don't necessarily willingly go there. They do, but they don't. In other words, in order to survive, in order to make it bearable, they have to shut it down. They can't even imagine it, because then their entire belief structure fractures. And who are they? What are they? So they're going to embrace the memes, the dumb sayings, the rhetoric, rather than think for themselves. It very, very interesting. If there's any video I can suggest this month for you guys, this one's it. Do you have any other contacts for trust? Sabrina, there are tons of them. I mean, like literally probably 10 million sources out there. All kinds of legal websites that cost you little or nothing to create one. Just do a search for common law trust. Do a little research on YouTube. Difference in trusts. I know that Fearless Floyd has like an entire, I forget what it is. It's going to cost you like, I don't know, 20, $50 something. I don't know. They've got some as well. And you just fill in your specifics. They got like pamphlets, workbooks, etc. I know at one point Bob had the same information over at Seeds of Wisdom. It just requires folks doing a little more of their own work, not like a tremendous amount. There are a lot of options out there. Brad Young, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Brad. I know we got to get to it. We've got Dr. Scott already waiting in the wings. I'm going to keep the news fairly brief so that we can get to it and maximize that time. In Iraq, I cannot find anything where we have a president yet. I'm waiting for an update from some sources there, but my guess is we don't have a president. They said we were going to have one today, but we don't. Of course, president comes first, then prime minister. Al-Alaq working with, Barzani, etc. The first one's going to be just him saying, look, stop speculating. We are not going to reduce the value of the Iraqi dinar. We are going to continue to hold it strong. We have the reserves. We have the gold. We do not need to lower the value. That's the rumors running around. Now, guys, remember, these were the same rumors running around in Kuwait right before they revalued. Same rumors running around in China before they revalued. So to me, I think it's important. He keeps pointing out these are the fundamentals. We can back 100%. Actually, it's like 140% of our currency. Boy, can you imagine the U.S. being able to do that when they'd only need like 400 or 500 trillion in value to be able to back up the currency? Something I've seen. Legal expert, there's no constitutional basis for extending the caretaker government. They're violating their constitution left and right. Constitutionally, they should already have their president. They should already have their government. They keep making backroom deals, putting things off. Basically kind of a handshake to ignore the Constitution or the Iraqi Constitution. And legal experts are starting to call them to the mat. I think this is a good thing because it's going to force something to be done. And it's still the Sudani Maliki fight that is going on. It is still dominating the news. Also, though, on the HCL side, Kurdistan response. Iraq unifies customs tariffs and launches Askuda system to boost economy. They have been holding out on this one. This is one of the very final pieces before they embrace HCL, is what I am being told from Iraq. So for me, I'm going to pay attention to all the political footballs being tossed them back and forth, but I am not going to let it distract me because HCL is still moving forward and all of the necessary components. So we're still making good progress. I think they are holding announcements and it's far more settled than we believe, but they don't want us to know how settled because, well, then we may be able to speculate on timing. House passes election bill requiring proof of citizenship and voter ID. Of course, now it's headed off to the Senate where it's going to have a tough row. They're going to have to somehow come up with 4 to 6 Democrats that are going to be willing to jump ship. Now, my suggestion for Democrats, because the overwhelming majority of America wants them, meaning wants voter ID laws, they do not think this is a difficult thing. They don't think it's onerous. They don't think it is too much to ask. They don't think it is removing um, or infringing on or voter suppression. That's the word I'm looking for. They think the opposite. If you're a Democrat, what are some of the things you get beat on the most when you look at your polling? Election integrity and immigration and allowing illegals to vote, etc. This is really offensive to a good 30, 40, 50% of Democrats and an overwhelming majority of Americans, including brown and black. So don't try to play the race card here on the left. But if you thought about how it shows you're willing to think and do the right thing, that you're not just towing the Democrat line blindly. If you are a moderate Democrat, this could be a massive political win to embrace it and vote for it. You can say, hey, look, I like my party. I think we need to feel more. We need to not lose our humanity. But that doesn't mean we have to be stupid. I really think this will be a massive political win for the Democrats that are willing to step out. Fetterman is already seeing the bonuses because, come on, in a national election, they're going to vote. If you're a Democrat, you're Republican, you're going to vote right, you're going to vote left. You're not really going to think about it. You may hold your nose while you do it, but very few are willing to go independent on it. If a Democrat congressman or senator votes yes for the SAVE Act, they are showing that they are, and remember, was it like 57? Overwhelming majority of our population now identifies as independent, registered as independent. Come on, you're still going to get your left vote. Now independents are going to listen to you as well. It's almost like a political guarantee in your rise to power. I want the SAVE Act passed. Totally coming up with arguments to get them to pass it. All right, Trump says meeting with Netanyahu yielded no definitive agreement on Iran. I mean, it was friendly, he said, but yeah, we didn't get anything done. Are they just putting it off before Iranian action? Because you look at the rhetoric, it looks like it's going nowhere. You look in the real world, we're positioning assets, military assets, financial assets to have this thing finished, from sanctions to guns to boats to tanks to planes. D. Rogers, we need to clean out Congress. Yeah, unfortunately, my opinion is it's 98% of Congress that needs to go away. And I do think that the revelations we continue to get on a daily basis from Epstein is going to do just that, guys. Think it is going to flush our government completely out. And I want to know what your thoughts are.
Well, I actually have a couple pieces that you might want to know. I do have, on your stupid video, I think it's funny. There's a guy named Andrew Wilson who I listen to a little bit here and there. He actually had a comment on a recent Patrick Bet-David video that 90% of the people struggle with this. I'm going to pull back on the video here. That 90% of the people don't have the ability to think because they take in other people's opinions. And I was like, wow, that's a fascinating view. And I see that quite a bit. Hey, Google. I think most people struggle with that viewpoint because they're taking other people's opinions because of social media. They're taking that opinion in and they assimilate that opinion. So I think that's something that's a struggle.
And you're right. If you stop and think about that, and his argument, a lot of people do. Human beings have a need to fit in.
Right.
Some more than
see a lot.
others. It's a preservation. You're not going to survive in a society if you are weaker, if you're handicapped, if you don't have a certain strength. Maybe you can't hunt and fix things for yourself. So in antiquity, you would have died. So people learned to do whatever it took to get along in order to survive. And that's exactly what's going on. They're adopting the view of somebody else because, well, it gets them into the tribe. Perhaps it really is. It is crazy. It's just a survival instinct. At what point do we stop being animals and start being thinking, in the image of our God, beings, something higher than just an animal? I don't know. I tend to like animals more than people, but
Well, because animals are very consistent, and I think that's one of the things that happens to us. We see the consistency, and I see a lot of conspiracy theorists who will spend more of their time and open up to animals more than they do to other people, and
I
they're
guess it's because
seeing
it's safer
because because
emotionally.
and that's one of the things too that happens with atheists. They don't have a solid base. They have no solid base. They don't believe in truth, and so they don't have that ability to kind of focus in. I want to show you
I
one
would like a
thing.
just quick diversion here, though. If you
Sure.
don't know God, now is a heck of a time to get to know Him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a real major problem. I mean, I was thinking about this morning. That one of the major words in the Bible, that when we talk about truth, people talk about truth all the time. It's like my truth. We always bring up this. What's my truth? And I'm like, that is not the primary words of truth. Do you know that two major words of truth in the Bible are actually number one is the word veritas. That means you have to verify what you believe. And one of the secondary words of truth is called martia, and it means that you have to bring in evidence. And if you brought in evidence and you were wrong about that evidence, it's the basis of the word marta, martyr, which means that you didn't just have perjury under it. You might go to jail, or you might go have probation with it. You would die for that evidence. So if you were a dock worker down at the dock, and you saw a murder, you better know that with that too. And it's funny because you say my truth is my opinion. Opinion actually in the Bible, from a Greek standpoint, actually has more to do with lie than it ever has anything to do with truth. And so that's why one of the things that I'm real picky about opinions with that. I want to show you something fascinating that I'm struggling with. Let me show you something that's out there. So, Mark, if you don't mind bringing this up on the screen, let's show you HR 22. I've spent a lot of time on that. I did a video on this last week, guys. Look at the end of this bill. Now, tell me, everyone's telling you that HR 22 passed yesterday, but explain to me at the back end of this bill. This is telling you the effective date of HR 22. How come the House, this is on the official part of this bill, okay? This is the actual bill. This is not even that hard to read, okay? HR 22, SAVE Act, Chip Roy, right? The last action is 410, received by the Senate in 410 of 2025. When was the puppy sent to Senate? What's the date? Boys and girls, tell me what is the psyop that you guys are hearing? And you might come up with a different answer here. You might tell me, Scott, you're missing it. But I'm telling you, why is it that we're seeing psyop all over the place? I'm just telling you, I don't know the answer here on this particular one, because what they're telling you is that yesterday that this bill passed in the the House, and yet on the actual documentation it was last year, 10 months ago. Why is it now coming up for the Senate to talk about? I mean, and they haven't changed the date. This is Chip Roy's. It's not like a new bill. Guys, I don't know how to put this. Why am I feel like I'm the only person out there talking about it, and no one else is bringing it up. I feel like I'm like a weed in the wind. No, listen, I can't give it to you. I can't explain it to you. I can't explain something. I know there are times in bills that they will tell you that they will give you, there's textual statements in here, and they will tell you like it's in committee. They will tell you different conversations. That's not what this says. It says on the bottom of this, the exact same bill that everyone's talking about, passed by the House of Representatives April 10 of 2025. So what is everyone telling you, and what are we dealing with? I'm going to tell you that I'm going to give the Scott version. I think we're in the middle of a psyop here. I think that Senate is ready for this thing to happen. Now you might think I'm a crazy person, but that's what the textual clues tell me. Sorry, you're muted there again.
We know you're a crazy person, but we are too, so it works.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I go research this stuff. Like, people go like, listen, there's a guy, I just blanked his name out. Mike, just blanked his name out. Anyway, he's he does a lot of research. He's been exposing some people in the church, and so I just blanked it out. Anyway, Mike Winger, sorry. And so someone gets mad at him for not exposing this and that, and he goes, man, there's only so many hours in the day, I can't expose everything, I can't do all of that stuff. And I'm like, and people go, well, why don't you expose more things, Scott? I'm like, do you know Mark only has enough hours in the day to do things, and you guys like bug him. Do you know how many emails he gets every day? I get emails, I try to respond to them, I try to call people, and I'm like, dude, I mean,
It's a lot.
It's a lot of stuff going on. I've got a list of things I'm trying to do. I'm going to show you guys a thing I just did this morning. You guys are going to see the first level of this stuff. I still have videos I'm going to cut for this thing, but you guys are going to see something I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to show you the reason why that we are on the edge of the imminent collapse with that too. So do you mind if I show you this, and then we can answer some questions with that too? This is why I believe that we are sitting on the edge. And you go, yeah, but you've been talking about this for a long time. But this is some of the stuff I think of the imminent collapse. I was doing this since 5:30 in the morning. So here's some of the stuff that I've been collecting for a while. So the commercial office space delinquency rate. I am coming close to the end of my lease in the building, and so is the other person in there. And I was talking to my real estate agent about some of the stuff, and my real estate agent, or my building owner, we're talking about different things, and I'm like, and whether we go month to month or whether they're doing some stuff, they're doing some like shady crap on us, and I'm like, when we first started talking about buying the building, this is when we first started talking about buying the building. Look at what the circumstance is today. And he must be like spitting his Wheaties out right now, right? Because this is the reality of what the commercial real estate market is like. Because the delinquency rate, and this is space delinquency rate, it means like people are not paying their rent. Okay, this is the loan rate. So this is to the bank loan rate. Now think about this. It bounced up pretty hard. Now think about this. This is the third quarter of 2020. So when everyone wasn't getting any money from their normal circumstances. So in the beginning of 2020, it's very low, because
that is probably something to touch on real quickly, guys. We've not seen this level of bankruptcy applications, et cetera, since COVID crashed the economy, before they started bailing out big people, not small people. The time before that we saw that levels was 2008. So it's,
And
I mean, it's
I'll show you 2008. Yeah, I'll show you this. This is so amazing. And Mark's totally right. And so this is point 8. So this is a basically normal kind of thing, right? It spikes up pretty hard here because COVID shut a bunch of people down. So these are a lot of business owner kind of people that don't have any money to pay anything because they were closed down, right? And then it goes down a little bit because here's what happens. PPP loans come in and they start to, they're opening up again. They're getting some of their monies through, so they're paying some of their debts down. Why is it going down here? I think some of the stuff, this is some of the Somalis. Um, this is some of the Somali effect. This is some of the there's a bunch of issues that's happening here. So goes down to historic levels. And they also have refinancing rates that are going on here. Okay. So this is some of the fake stuff that's going on in the world. I'll show you more about that. But look at it right now. And I mean, I didn't even show you more in the deeper level. This is so concerning, it's not even funny. Commercial loans, the delinquency rate is scary. And if I could show you through to 2025, 2026, right? Okay. Here are the underperforming loan ratios. This is the scary stuff. This is in 2022. So when we talk about loan ratios on the bank percentile and the low, you want to have a really low change from here to here, okay? From the low to the high. So you want to have very low rate ranges. So of bad loans. These are the bad ones, right? So as the range goes up higher, what you have is a lot of ugly loans out there. And the median of this thing is going up. And look at these massive high percentiles that the banks are starting to choke on late in 2024, and it gets worse in 2025. So the rate of underperforming loans are increasing the fears. And what this does, when they start seeing this kind of thing, it creates a statement of, hey, you know what? We're just not going to loan out money. And by the way, I'll show you that thing here in just a second. In auto loans and leases, same kind of thing happens. 2003, it's okay. It bumps up, and this is in the 2008 financial crisis, right? It balances down right after the crisis because, frankly, no one's buying anything, right? And then ever since, and we'll talk about this one here in just a minute. The auto leases, and these are the amounts of leases and of people spending money. This is, and it never stops increasing. So people have so much money in their leases. This is ugly. This is so ugly. It's not even funny. Like it is the number here is astronomical. And it's scary when you see how much money are tied up in loans and leases in this. Okay. The delinquency rate in the student loans was very, very steady throughout a very long time frame with that too. So throughout 2017, 18, 19, 2020. Now here's what happened. They actually tanked that number. They didn't make anyone pay anything for a very long time frame. And people were loving it here. And then they said, oh, by the way, 2025, now you got to pay your number. And this is freaking everyone out. Now the delinquency rate is off the chart. So the borrowers are like, oh, what? So the delinquency rate has been very consistent here, but people were still, they still had to pay. Now we're seeing these people choking on the number. Okay. And then we asked the question, but wait, why is no one buying anything? Let me show you something very interesting because I'm going to show you loan rates. Okay. So these are percentages, the bank rates. And I was getting lying rates. I pulled up rates in different kind of areas, and I was getting lies. Okay, so these are actual bank percentages, and this goes back pre-1960s. So bank percentage rates were 3 to 5%. They stayed really stable. They bounced up in the 70s. This is when the Fed started to raise the rates, drop them a little bit, raise the rates, and then in the 80s, this is when you used to have like credit card rates like being this massive rate, but no one put any money on credit cards for the most part. You did a little bit, but you didn't have ability more than about $1,500 at most on a credit card. But also, my parents bought a house here, but again, the house was at most $45,000, $65,000 total. That was a very expensive house, right? But it was this massive, these massive rates of these kinds of things. But prices, we'll talk about prices in a second. But during the Reagan era, it started to come down dramatically. And then in Bush and Clinton years, it actually came down dramatically and started to stabilize more. And Clinton actually got down into a lot lower levels. And so it stabilized. And then in the Bush era, there was a drop. Then we see it go up and then stays very, very low in Obama timeframe. This was to try to keep the economy up. Okay, we see a bump here, and then this is a fake number right here. A fake. This is when they turned off the Basel III compliance, so that all the banks wanted to make everyone give, actually add more money out there. And then the percentages have risen to dramatic levels. This is because they can't keep up with it. This is why the Fed is just crazy right now. So no one's buying anything because the rates are happening. And by the way, look at this. These two different time frames are when globalists are trying to crash the markets. It's why they have a tanking point, and then they bring it back up. So they're trying to crash the markets by tanking the rates, and then they crash it back up. Okay. So here's one of the things that happens. This is one of the stuff that happens. It's hard to read this, but used car rates, even if you have great credit, pretty darn great credit, from 600, 660 all the way in the eights, is like anywhere from 7 to 9.6% rates for just used cars. No one wants to buy a car in that kind of rate, right? For a new car, anywhere, if you have excellent to darn good credit, 5 to 6.5%. For a home, best is around 6% rate. If you have commercial real estate, this is even scary. I was trying to look up, it used to be you could buy a commercial real estate for 20-year loan. Now they won't give out 20-year loans. They will give out at best 5-year loans at 6.5% rate. Well, no one can pay for a 7-year loan at 6.5%. That's an unreasonable number for people to buy a commercial real estate, like a $1 million, commercial real estate loan. No one can pay for that. This is why no one's buying it. Medium home prices are skyrocketing over the years, and here's the skyrocket, especially in the last 15 years. Massive skyrocket. Median auto prices, and this is only in the last 20 years. Look at the skyrocket process, and look at the scary time frame in the last 5 years. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the whole system is overloaded. The whole system can't be fixed, and you cannot fix it no matter what you do. And I'm just trying to tell you that this is about to turn. The prices are out of line. You cannot, just suddenly go, we're going to fix it. by doing this or that. Inflation isn't fixable. None of this stuff is fixable. We are turning on a razor's edge, and it is just a matter of time before this thing moves. So there you go.
That's a good point. This isn't fixable. I meant to share something earlier. Let me do that real quickly. An IRS story. I got to be careful not to give anybody's name. Person lives in California, owned a business prior to COVID 2020 shutting down. Haven't filed federal or state taxes since 2020. Just got not a bill statement from state of California. Removed over $8,000 from that 2020-21 tax year, shutting it down. In other words, it's even beyond the statute of limitations. I'm getting that a lot where they're wiping out those old. I really think, what do you think? Are we practicing for Nasera Jacera, Dr. Scott?
I think that we're seeing a lot of the outward facing offices that the customer facing offices from the IRS are closing. We know that in many sources. I'm hearing this over and over again. They're closing those offices. Why?
I do know there's some town hall meetings going on as we speak between IRS offices. So if it's anything big, I'll be sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're closing those offices. They are showing up in Maine. The IRS offices, IRS people are showing up in Maine. They're showing up in Minnesota. Why are they showing up in there? Because that's their new point that they're doing right now.
Starting to get a lot of questions. Somebody earlier to ask, so do all mortgages go away? A lot of people are like, wait a minute, so has my rent just become free because the landlord doesn't have a mortgage? Guys, as far as I'm concerned, if you rent or lease, you're probably going to have to renegotiate as soon as this happens.
Yeah, so first off, the question here, Social Security collapse. No, the point, one of the things that here's what we didn't know about Social Security, okay? We had thought, like 5 years ago, we thought that Social Security was going to go up to like 3 to 5 times up. This is kind of what we kind of wondered first. We didn't know, and we didn't know how it was going to do it. We thought it was going to come up because of some of the tranches of monies that were going to come out. That's what we kind of thought, and I still think that they could refund by the some of the cool tranches of monies that are out there. But I think they have to do that a little bit. But what we're realizing now is the fraud. This is the part that I don't think Mark and I even had a clue about, is that the fraud of America is that what they've been sending out from the states, from the federal government to the states, is all fraud.
The entire fiat system requires cheating to make it work. It doesn't work without cheating and lies. You're cheating the next generation because you're building in inflation. You're cheating them out of their savings. Everything about the fiat system is cheating and lying. It doesn't work any other way.
Right. So what they're doing is that when you cut out the cheating and when you do the Doge systems, and by the way, Trump just signed a bill today that said that no more dead people are going to get Social Security. Like, it's just like,
why do you have to pass? I mean, the need to even sign a bill like that. I mean, think about that insanity.
It's just like, so one of the things,
I do think Social Security should have a death benefit built into it.
Well, but
meaning the cost of cremation or something. Like, if you do die, rather than continue to pay your Social Security, they should give you your one-time exit one so the family's not burdened.
Well, there should be like, you shouldn't. I mean, they actually take out your Social Security benefit, like, they should give you like a 1 or 2 month kind of thing. But what we believe is that you're going to see a significant boost up, for the regular people in there. So that's a long story, but I think they're going to see a boost in that one too.
Is a
Yeah.
good point, Road Sailor. We have to, our entire structure has to change with the advent of robots, AI. And 2026 is an important year because robots go from very simple tasks uh, to AI tasks where by the end of the year, and some of them already do, Agribot, there are a number of companies out there that already produce ones that do take the place of humans. Long term, that's a good point. Tax
Yep.
it, taxing the working class isn't going to work.
Right. So and the whole that's that kind of thing. We're going to see a massive boost in that because the system has the ability to accomplish that. And it's because the fraud we didn't even know existed in that level. We all kind of knew it was there, but we didn't know it was that bad.
God, I did not know the death benefit is $225.
We never got it for my father-in-law. We never got it 2
Yeah,
years
I,
ago.
I don't recall getting it for any of my grandparents when they
Yep.
passed. And I'm just like thinking of that. Wow, because I remember the family, pulling together dollars to pay for my brother's cremation. That's the most recent one I've dealt with. But even that's not cheap. I mean, that hardly covers the gas to go pick them up from the
Yeah,
crematorium. I'm just blown away by that number. I didn't know, folks. I'm a little shocked.
yeah, it was sick. So
Yeah, good point. Jackie in New York, he had to sign a bill saying men can't play in women's sports. Saying, "Well, who would ever have thought you need a?" Yeah, yeah,
I
Ellen.
think
There were
what
no
it
bond updates unless Dr. Scott has a good one.
yeah, I don't
I
have
shared
any.
one last night, but that was been it.
I don't have any either. Really, what we're seeing right now. I mean, like people are talking about a lot of issues related to Epstein stuff. I mean, I think a lot of people are really upset that they haven't heard about this. And I keep going, military is the only way. I just keep going back to this one point. Military is the only way. So,
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking through the release of the Epstein. We've heard it. I mean, this community has known it at their core for some time, but this is the confirmation that what we knew was right. Uh, the rest of the world out there is just discovering some of these things for the first time, and many of them they are jumping at a diversion. They were so excited to fight over half times. They were so excited to fight over anything.
right.
But to have to deal with the fact that the Epstein files showed us that all of their conspiracy theory friends were right, it's got to be daggone difficult right now for them because they're what a conundrum.
Right.
They got to admit that they were wrong about everything that their friends are, and now they've got absolute and concrete proof in front of them. And just I can only imagine their brains have got to be just sparking and smoking, and it's a
So
tough day to be a woke liberal.
someone asked a question. What's your opinion about Massey that he didn't share the names? Actually, Massey and a congressman named Rowe actually did share the names of 6 billionaires. Incorrect. I will tell you, I've been putting this out there. What if, and I know some of you are going to hate my guts for saying this, what if Massey is a big psyop?
I think he is.
Uh,
That's the belief that I have come to over time in watching it. I do not think that Massey and Trump hate each other.
uh,
I think he is being used
absolutely right.
to do. It is too scripted.
Way too
If I were
scripted.
writing this movie, I would write those two in my script.
Because here's one of the things that you got to understand about Massey, okay? And he calls him a rhino, but guess what Massey has talked about? Massey has talked about Epstein files. Massey has talked about deleting the IRS. Massey has talked about
No
going on a
foreign
Go Back
wars.
standard. He's talked about being on deleting the Fed. He's talked about
I mean,
everything
if you
that
think
we've
about it,
ever wanted.
Massey is more Trump than Trump's Trump.
And
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 now
by the
we've
way,
got just I really think he is controlled opposition, part of the script. I really do. I'm beginning to believe that.
100%. And so I just go, what and listen, you cannot listen and I understand, Deborah, I get it, but what you kind of hear, like how many people didn't like Elon as soon as they had a fight,
Yeah,
right? How many people
uh,
didn't like Elon?
yeah, psyop, not. I mean, guys, it's definitely not worth fighting about. We're going to find out. History is going to tell us. So
Right.
for me, I just beg of people to keep an open mind and think.
I just hold on. I think it's just fascinating, all the stuff that's going on. I think there's so much stuff. I'm just telling you, like even inside of here, like even I showed you HR 22 in the official documents passed in April 10 of 2025. And they didn't even change the date yet. And everyone's telling you it just passed yesterday. So explain to me how that's not the case.
I get a kick out of it. John over here, Q plus plus. It's like Q plus 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 right now with all the intertwining. And I mean, how many more times does Trump or somebody needs to tell us they're all central casting before we be? The problem is in this movie, people still die. I don't like this movie.
Yeah, I hate it. I mean, I hate all that stuff. I mean, you got actors that are playing different things, like but like, is Judy on deck? Listen, the point that we've all known about is that the Fed doesn't need a chairman. The Fed will have a chairman for only a short time. Judy would only be up there to like turn us into a go back currency and then turn it over to the Treasury. Answer me this, or riddle. How about this? Riddle me this. Why does the IRS not have a a, a, a secretary? They added a secretary, then they fired that person. They added another secretary, and then they put a CEO in there. Then they dropped him. They put in a CEO who hated the IRS, brought him in for a couple months. What did he do? He stirred the pot, and now the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, is the something or other of the IRS. Come on. Like, listen, the Federal Reserve is gonna be dead, and they're even showing you that. Like the Federal Reserve building is a $2 billion construction project. And from people who actually talk to me, like, listen, it's a 5-story building that should never cost, what is it, $2 to $5 billion that they're doing, and you're like, come on, guys. Uh, that doesn't make any sense. And it's still under construction? No, it's being destructed. So let's realize what you're seeing in government and media is all part of the movie.
What a movie we're in. But I mean, I very much believe it. This is a lot of folks have talked about this over some time that they're trying to wake more people up. I really don't. They were, but over time, because if they had given us all the truth right away,
Yeah.
people would have taken to the streets. I mean, government buildings would be burning. If they
Right.
would have released all of this 10 years ago, a handful of us would have
Would have gotten it.
already dealt with it, gone through it. The thing is, we're years ahead of these people in the
Yeah. Yeah.
mourning, the upset, the anger, the acceptance. I mean, it's like,
Absolutely.
this the levels of grief. We are years ahead. So for us, we're like, come on, let's just get this over with. The rest of them are just getting to where we were many years ago.
Right. And again, um there's a guy you ought to click on. He's got a YouTube channel called Ian Carroll. Uh you ought to check on him, Ian, IAN Carroll. He's got a great one that talks about this stuff. That one of the potential players of the Epstein list, the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein might have been one of the key players of the downfall of the 2008 crisis. Like, oh, really? That he might have been, the kingpin of all of that kind of thing. So, like, the guys, we got to go. Like, say this whole thing could be really going crazy in here.
Let me see if I can get this thing to add. I'm trying to add something. Let me remove that one. I had something else up here. Your thoughts on this one, Dr. Scott? I have seen so many. Y'all, I just loaded this picture of
Is it
Epstein taken in
possible?
Israel.
Is it
And
possible? I personally don't believe he's around there. I would say he's more likely in a either a level of witness protection, or more than likely he is in a prison cell that we don't know about, if he's alive. Um, that's what I would do. I would never let that pedophile out. Sorry, but
no, I'm with you. I'm a little
he's
worried because of the wear and his gaming accounts. There's too many great white hat hackers out there and gamers, and they're like, yeah, no, his accounts are still being used. They can track it down to who's paying for it and have.
and the reality
Or
is,
it could be a diversion in the movie. They want us to think he's sitting in Israel.
sure, and that's more than likely, but military wouldn't let this level of sicko out. Um, that's the reality. All the disclosure have to be out before the RV? No, I think the reality. Listen, the 3 points of disclosure I have said that has to be around. It doesn't have to be RV. Okay, I mean, you guys talk about RV of disclosure. I think the EBS. Okay, so I'm going to say it this way: from EBS, there are 3 levels of point that have to be election, the child trafficking, and COVID. Those are the 3 main points that have to come in. So I'm going to say it again: election, child trafficking, and COVID. Why? Because COVID is the cover, or warp speed is the cover for the financial stuff, right? So that's the warp speed. That's the gold back currency. That is the way that you put it in. That's why you see all the dips in the financial thing that brought in the fraud issues. And I really didn't even understand it. Mark didn't understand it either. That's when you see this massive uptick of all of the massive fraud, the money that went up in crazy numbers that I just showed you. The secondary point that you see is the child trafficking. It's what brings in the executive order 13818. It's the crimes against humanity. It's what nails the coffin in the Jeffrey Epstein and all the people around it. And the third point in is the one part I didn't see originally until I talked to Derek Johnson about this one thing, is the crimes against humanity inside of the 13848, which is the election fraud issues, and how we're still in a state of emergency. This is why people and one of your guys in the chat kind of said, why do you keep talking about the election of 2020? And I'm like, because the election of 2020 is what Austin kind of, basically Josh says, rule on Brunson. The point is that if you don't fix 2020, you never fix anything. The reason why 2020 is so important, you go back to COVID, you go back to all this stuff, everything keeps blowing up around that time frame.
Yeah, saw an interesting one. Somebody saying saving Judy for very last thing. what are some of I mean, think about that. We've talked about this. Oh, they're saving Israel for last, saving this for last. Certain things are being saved for last. We keep hearing this. And we're seeing those things being dealt with. So if what we our belief structure that they're saving those things for last, and now we're watching them deal with them, that means that's last. I was just when I saw somebody post something about saving her for last, I was sitting here thinking, man, we're in a really short period of last now. Finally,
Well, if you're seeing it, then then guess what? It means that it was already dealt with. I mean that's you got to see how military is doing it. If you are seeing Epstein and the names or the circumstance coming out, it means that that part of the operation's done. So that's actually pretty cool.
Jules Bells, I very much believe this. Maybe that's a metaphor. Epstein, Israel. Well, I wouldn't say root of evil, but saying that they were saving it for last, and we see those deep, apparent connections to Mossad, things like that. To me, that's last is happening right now. For me, I don't know
Well,
about you,
I
Dr.
want to
Scott.
say I want to be really clear about this because I get people get really mad about the circumstance. Let's not say Israel. Let's not say Jews.
Oh yeah,
Let's say the cabal. If you want to say
evil
Ashkenazi
government.
Jews, um, that's fine. Let's say the cabal in Israel, because if
Yeah, we got to, and guys, remember when we say that there's a cabal in the United States, there's one in the UK, there's one in
correct,
France, there's these same globalist, corrupt, uh, the whole Luciferian, baby eating bankers, CEOs, bureaucrats. They're
correct.
entrenched all over the globe. So when we say that, don't take that as an attack on Judaism. It's not.
It is not at all, because here's the point. There are and every time we get into this thing, and I get people like getting all upset about this one, we're saving Israel for last. And the real point that I mean, remember, this is 8chan. This is, conversations about Q kind of points. But here's the point that you got to do. If we're not saying like Israel, of the 8 million people in Israel are bad. We're talking about, like Khazarian mafia. Okay, we're talking about, a few thousand people in this, the other people. We're not talking about like the whole group of 8 million people. We need to destroy a whole nation. Um, just like if you are in South Africa, you should be saying all the 330 million people in America are bad. You're talking about,
Mhm.
the people in DC, are, probably a pretty gross bunch. Okay, so let's be very, very careful about how we say it and not be gross in how we're pushing that.
Um, that is important. Don't lump everybody into it. Reading some of these. Um, Trying to find you. Do you have time for a few more questions? I know we've
Sure,
gone
please.
awfully long today. Yeah, somebody just talking about how the Guthrie is just absolutely covering all of the news, and
Well, I think
mainstream media
Guthrie is
they need something to cover, because the last thing they want to do is talk about the reality and what we found that is real. Have you been tracking the people that have already fled, resigned, etc., throughout Europe over this Epstein case? They're taking it more seriously than they are,
yeah.
or our mainstream media is doing better at diverting us. There's only so much oxygen in the sphere for public debate. So we
Well,
can only talk about so many things at one time.
the Guthrie thing, the Guthrie thing is a media one, there's a psyop if you ever see one. Okay. There, like every time they focus in on, bring her back, and people again, what is a psyop? Look over here, not over what I'm doing here. Okay. Every time they focus you on something else, right? They don't want you to focus. Why is that? Because the Epstein files are coming out. Okay. So they don't want you like focus on, Netanyahu coming in and not what we're doing in Iran. Okay. So why is Netanyahu coming in? Well, we're doing something in Iran. Okay. Okay. So that's something else. And again, every time you tried to look in on the Epstein files and the other stuff there, they weren't telling you that the Save Act was happening. And on top of this, the Save Act was happening. There's all this, conversation about, oh, it would be bad for women, and the Save Act. Oh no, it was. And there's so many levels of of psyop that's going on even on the Save Act, right? And so there's so many things happening at the same time frame, and I kind of go, do you understand? The Save Act is super powerful, for when the Save Act goes through. I'm telling you, I even said this. You know what the Save Act can actually do? Do you know what they actually can do with this? And the reason why I believe that it was passed in the House, it was passed in the House in April 10 of 2025, and they haven't told you it was passed 10 months ago, and now it's sitting over in the Senate. I want you to do me a favor. Write down on a piece of paper sitting beside you. Go look up Article 2, Section 3. The president, and I'm going to use the Scott terminology, okay? The president may, if he notices that either House or Senate is basically screwing up, he can dismiss one or both of them and tell them go home and play with their little toys and do the job that he needs to do. And that's essentially what the Article 2, Section 3 says. And he can then come in. He can go tell him go home, and he can do it for an indefinite period of time. And by the way, presidents have done this in the past. So therefore, it's a very simple thing. And that's exactly what we can do with the Save Act. And that's why he keeps putting out this little thing. 80%, 85% of Americans have clearly stipulated this is absolutely on both sides of the fence. So you can actually say 85% of Americans absolutely want this. So we do this. And you guys absolutely need to read HR 22. It'll focus all the way down to the states, all the way down to the local level, which means everything that Trump has ever wanted, paper ballots, one day voting, it'll do the whole kit and caboodle. Sorry.
Definitely should. All right. I think I need to get our portion wrapped up. Hoping you're going to close this out with prayer after, of course, learning that the whole like Luciferian baby eating bankers, CEOs, bureaucrats. I know people may be getting tired of hearing me say that, but that is so.
You say it faster than I can say it. So,
yeah, because I've said it so many times in the last 24 hours. Would you be willing to close this out in prayer? And then,
yep,
guys, for those that want to stick around, we got Stacy Z joining in just a few minutes.
Thank you, God. I just thank you, Lord God, that you are in control. We are not going to be focused in on distractions because you are not the God of distractions. You focus us. We want to be just like the Clydesdale. We want to be focused in on the things that are truth. We are not we're not focused on the silliness. We're not focused in on things that are not truth. We're focused in on veritas. We're focused in on things that are only the truth and not on things that are that distraction. So I just keep focusing in on things that you want me to focus in on, which means the things of today. And I will not let my heart be troubled because I'm going to focus on that stuff today. And I just thank you so much, Lord God. We just let ourselves be free of fear. This fear or that phobos makes a difference. And I just thank you, Lord God. I just speak over you right now. If you have a phobia of something, something's bugging you, remember that is actually phobia, is the same word for fear. So let it go in the name of Jesus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Appreciate you we all do, you taking the time out to join us on Thursdays. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, have fun.
You too. Take care. Guys, Dr. Scott Young, I should have asked him when he's doing his next, but well, here, we can add him real quick. Oh, wait, he's already gone. I was going to ask him when he's doing his next one, but here's the perfect intro to Stacy so she can sing happy birthday to you. All right, take it over. Oh, he's so cute.
He's going to help sing happy birthday.
Oh, he's probably going to start barking when I start singing. Okay, folks, pay attention to the dog, not me. Brad, Edith, Liam, and others for your birthday. So they tell me it's your birthday. Well, happy birthday, darling. May you live, may you love, make all your dreams come true. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. See, everybody's happy now. They got to see the puppy.
Yes, he is. Oh my goodness. I think he hit teenager yesterday because all heck broke loose. I was like, oh my God, what dog did I get?
Right.
He
He's been
was
so well behaved. He had one of those days.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And now he's back to my sweet little baby again. So
Awesome. All right.
okay.
Do you want me to go ahead and put up your
Yes, put that up, and I'm going to put him
wait.
in his bed with his snuggle puppy. Okay, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, not quite afternoon yet. So, the last couple of times I have been on, we have talked about heart health. And I probably started it a little bit early because, February is Heart Health Month. So I thought we would close out with a couple of things that we didn't get the chance to go over. So we were lucky enough to have Dr. Harry on. We talked about how important nitric oxide is. And then after that, we talked about cellular activation and how important that is on top of nitric oxide. And today we are going to go over the 3 gold standard tests that are the most important to let you know how your heart health is. And then why you need to do those so that you can keep your endothelial cells super happy and healthy, and explain exactly what those are. So we'll just do a little summary real quick. So Dr. Harry, we talked about the nitric oxide. It fuels healthy blood flow by relaxing blood vessels. It improves circulation. It lowers blood pressure, protects the heart. But cellular health actually determines whether nitric oxide can actually function effectively and last in the body. So nitric oxide's amazing. Don't get me wrong. You can go take some supplements, but it doesn't last. And especially if you have a lot of oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. So when oxidative stress and inflammation are high, nitric oxide is rapidly destroyed by free radicals, and damaged mitochondria reduce the body's ability to produce nitric oxide properly. So meaning even high nitric oxide levels may not deliver lasting benefits. So by activating cellular health, strengthening antioxidant defenses, preparing and repairing, because if you take the NRF1, it helps prepare more mitochondria. So you repair the mitochondria, calm the inflammation, and the body's able to preserve, recycle, and efficiently use the nitric oxide you're putting in with the Cardio for Life. So creating long-term cardiovascular protection instead of short-term boosts. So like the analogy we used a couple weeks ago, it's literally Your heart and blood vessels are like a car. So nitric oxide is the fuel. It allows everything to run smoothly, keeps the vessels relaxed, powers the circulation, just like gas powers a car forward. But if you have all that inflammation and oxidative stress, that means the engine is damaged and the system is full of rust and debris. Pouring in more fuel won't get you very far. So when oxidative stress is high, mitochondria are weak, inflammation is constant, the nitric oxide gets burned up quickly instead of doing its job. So think of it this way: the nitric oxide's the fuel, cellular activation is what makes the heart's engine run smoothly for life. So nitric oxide, we were saying, if all that stuff is present, it just burns up really quick. Just a little note about that: nitric oxide is one of the most short-lived signaling molecules in the body without antioxidant recycling. So you produce nitric oxide, it gets neutralized quickly, vasodilation effect is shortened, and then the endothelial benefit is limited. And that's not good, because you need those endothelials being super happy. So you want to pair the nitric oxide with cellular activation. So the Cardio for Life provides the raw materials, right? It's the L-citrulline, the arginine, helps create tons of nitric oxide in the body. Well, then you need to add some NRF2 synergizer, because it's going to protect and preserve the nitric oxide by reducing the oxidative stress and the inflammation. And then the NRF1 synergizer actually powers nitric oxide production at the cellular level. It repairs and builds mitochondria and increases your cellular energy, improving endothelial performance. There's that endothelial thing again. And then the NAD, it just optimizes nitric oxide recycling even more and vascular youthfulness. There is actually a study on NAD synergizer and healthy cholesterol levels that was done, and because it helps activate sirtuins for cellular repair, reduces inflammation, and enhances vessel flexibility and function. And then we talked about True Science liquid collagen, which is really important because it's the structure. So it strengthens the blood vessels nitric oxide acts on. So it improves the arterial elasticity, which is very important, because the smoother and more flexible that those vessels are, the better your blood pressure. And then it supports vessel repair and it helps calm inflammatory pathways. That's going to be one of my topics not next time, but soon after. Essentially, glycine and collagen are one of the biggest things that you can do to help reduce inflammation, and especially if you pair it with NRF2 synergizer. I'll show you the studies, but we literally reduce inflammation more than some of the drugs that they've developed for it that cause all kinds of health issues. So bottom line, Cardio for Life helps create nitric oxide. Cellular activation makes the nitric oxide thrive and keep working. And then we went over the Ohio State studies, talking about just how important the NRF2 is for your veins. And essentially, one of the biggest things they found was that it highlighted the relevance of NRF2 activation in protecting human vascular tissue from oxidative stress and pathological changes, which is so much important because it helps with enzyme activity to lower all the bad stuff so that the endothelial cells can do their job. And guess who paid Ohio State to run that test? The American Heart Association. So these are very important when you put them together. Okay, the 3 gold standard heart health tests. These are the most important. Your doctors can go do all the cholesterol panels they want. Doesn't really matter. It does, but it doesn't. Most important, I'm always talking about that darn inflammation. The high sensitivity C-reactive protein test. It is the best gold standard marker of arterial inflammation. So it measures low-grade chronic inflammation in blood vessels, which is the real driver of plaque rupture plus heart attacks. Literally, you can't have a heart attack unless you have LDL that gets oxidized. That's a heart attack. So what do you want to do? You want to feed it NRF2 to keep the oxidative stress away. So there's a whole bunch of different ranges, and it kind of depends if you're a regular, just run-of-the-mill doctor or a functional doctor as to what these ranges should be. The regular medical world lets that moderate risk go higher than 3.0 milligrams, which is ridiculous because 1.0 is really the danger place. So even with normal cholesterol, elevated CRP equals higher cardiac risk. Okay, the number 2 gold standard, well, the silver standard, is the best marker of vascular damage plus clot risk is your homocysteine. So high levels irritate artery walls and accelerate plaque formation. So you want to, it'll tell you if you've got plaque buildup, clot risks. So your optimal, not just normal, is ideal around 6 to 8. So anything lower or greater than 10 is a higher cardiovascular risk, and it's linked strongly to heart attack, stroke, endothelial dysfunction. There's that word again. And it's usually tied to B vitamin status and methylation. So for those of you guys, like 40% of the population that have issues with taking vitamin B because your body can't go through the Krebs cycle with it and make it work, get our vitamins. Our Rise AM and Reset PM, all the B vitamins are pre-methylated, so your body can actually use them better. Oh, sorry. Remy was just making the cutest noise. Okay, so that's your silver standard test. And the second most important test, the final one, your bronze, is your lipoprotein A. So it's best genetic risk marker for early heart disease. So it's going to tell you if you have a sticky LDL-like particle that promotes plaque and clotting. So that's what I was saying. That's what you've got to be careful of, because if you do have that and you have a lot of inflammation and oxidative stress, that's what creates heart attacks. So it's largely genetic, and diet alone barely moves it. So you've got to do some special things to help protect against it. So high LPA plus inflammation equals especially dangerous combo. And because heart disease is driven far more by inflammation, oxidative stress, and endothelial damage than by cholesterol alone, those are the 3 most important tests that your doctor can run for you. So those are the gold standards on tests and what you need to keep up with. So what is this endothelium? It's how the body controls blood flow and blood pressure. So it also produces nitric oxide. So there's another way that we produce nitric oxide. It relaxes arteries, it improves circulation, it lowers blood pressure. So no nitric oxide equals stiff, narrow arteries. That's when you have high blood pressure. And then it also prevents plaque from sticking. So healthy endothelial cells repel LDL particles, block inflammatory cells, and keep vessel walls smooth. So damaged endothelium becomes sticky, then builds plaque, and that's not good. And then the third thing it does is it regulates inflammation. This is so important. It decides what immune cells enter vessels when inflammation then leads to atherosclerosis. And the fourth thing, it prevents abnormal clotting. Healthy endothelium prevents clot formation, keeps blood flowing freely, and then a damaged endothelium equals higher stroke and heart attack risk. So the endothelium is very, very important. So it's a thin layer of cells lining every blood vessel in your body, arteries, veins, capillaries. It's essentially the Teflon-like protective coating of your cardiovascular system, the traffic controller of blood flow, and the anti-inflammation shield. When endothelial cells are healthy, arteries stay resistant to plaque. And when damaged, heart disease begins. So healthy, everything's fine, blood, platelet, everything flows through, no problem. When you've got dysfunctional endothelium, then that's where the plaque starts building up and your arteries can't bend and be flexible and help with your blood pressure. So big difference there. And then because endothelial dysfunction is literally the real start of heart disease. So it starts way before plaque starts or before high cholesterol or any symptom. It literally starts with oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, high blood sugar or insulin, smoking, toxins, poor sleep, stress, the food we eat, the air we breathe. All of those things damage the endothelial lining. What improves it? Clinically proven: lower inflammation, reduced oxidative stress, improved nitric oxide production, stabilizing blood sugar and insulin, exercising, just walking helps, omega-3s, polyphenols, antioxidants. And guess what? All that is protect the endothelium and you protect the heart. So healthy endothelium revolves around the activation, literally your NRF2, your NRF1. So the NRF2 gets rid of the inflammation, it gets rid of the oxidative stress. Then the NRF1 comes in and it gives the endothelial cells the ability to do their jobs and have the energy to do it so nothing happens. And it builds even more happy, healthy blood vessels. And then the NAD helps with giving the and mitochondria even more energy. It's like a nitric oxide boost for it. And it helps with all of the sirtuins that help keep the blood vessels happy and healthy. So I thought today we could go over a couple of documentation beats conversation testimonials. So this is Linda. She's a 77-year-old woman, and she's enjoyed good health for most of her life. Over the past few years, however, she's developed high blood pressure and high cholesterol. She has been taking medication for both conditions. She started taking Protandim a year ago last month, and also the collagen. I was pleasantly surprised last August when I received the results of my annual physical. My cholesterol dropped from 153 to 127, and her triglycerides were down to 105 from 185. Her LDL went from 62 to 58. And here's the best part. Her HDL went up from 48 to 54. That's fantastic because that HDL cholesterol is the important cholesterol, the healthy cholesterol. So along with the above changes, she dropped her blood pressure to 132/70 after being as high as in the 170s. And she attributes the changes to the liquid collagen and the Tri-Synergizer. And then she also takes the Axio or drinks the Axio. She's other smaller differences included not having occasional leg cramps during sleep at night, which was she got a compliment from her dentist concerning healthy looking gum tissue, and her husband got the same praise. And after an annual eye exam, hearing her doctor say that her sight was slightly better than when it was tested a year ago. By the way, hint, hint, that oxidative stress takes out the eyes and that collagen helps rebuild it. So she feels energized after having an Axio drink, and that product has helped her return to walking every day. So that's Linda's story. This is Diane P. She wrote in about her mom, who's 89 years old. Her health had been declining as she had aged, and a lot of her life was spent caring for her. She's got to say that it hasn't been easy. She struggled with high blood pressure, diabetes, and many other health issues. January of 2023, she decided to get her on nutrigenomic activators that have been so profound and influencing our health. She was willing. So we have activated her now for over a year. So yesterday they had taken her for her physical to the doctor. Her A1C was perfect without any diabetes meds, and her doctor took her off one of her blood pressure meds, but had to ask what in the heck they were doing to have mom's health turned around so dramatically. They were so excited for mom and for them, because when mom feels better, their life is better. So she's been activated for quite some time, and that's an awesome turnaround. We actually have one of the consultants with the company that I got to meet in Texas at our last meeting. She has a care facility, and she actually has all of her clients on the NRF2 and the liquid collagen, and a bunch of them went off their blood pressure medication and their cholesterol medication. Not everybody, but the majority did. So there's actually a video out on that. It's pretty cool to see just how good it is, what it does for the body. So just a couple more from Sandy. She's been on the Vitality Stack, and that's what Mark takes. That's got the NRF2, the NRF1, the ProBio, and the Omega-3. So she's been on the Vitality Stack since 2018. In July is her 6 months checkup for doctor and dentist, had blood work done, doctor's appointment, and told me it's the best she's seen my blood work to date. I'm on hormone replacement therapy due to menopause. Today I saw my dentist, and the hygienist took my blood pressure and asked me if I take medication for high blood pressure. I told her I don't, and she said, wow, your blood pressure is like that of a teenager. That made me feel good, as I will be 69 in a few months. And she attributes it to the LifeVantage products. This one's really cool to see how her cholesterol has gone down and her glucose levels. So back in 22, she wasn't taking LifeVantage products, but the lab work from 2023 was just 4 months after being on the products. And she's continued with the product since then. So look at the changes in the cholesterol. The cholesterol from 2022 average, her glucose was 103 in 2023 after she'd only been on it for 4 months, right? Is that right? Yeah. Her glucose went down to 91, and her triglycerides dropped from 53 to 39. Her cholesterol dropped from 219 to 171. And then her HDL went from, let's see, 84 to 81. That did a little wonky thing. And then let's see, her LDL ended up going from 124 to 82. That's huge, because that's the LDL is what gets you in trouble. And then the following year in 2024, blood glucose went down even more, 88. Her triglycerides went down again, 36. Her cholesterol total went from 171 to 152. Her HDL went up to, well, it went to 76. And then her LDL went down even more from 82 to 69. So it all adds up and makes a difference. And then Marsha, a year ago in July, she had a heart attack at the age of 55, guys. She started her intense health journey, followed all cardiac recommendations, eating right, exercising. November 2017, total cholesterol still 248. So all the eating right, all of the exercising wasn't quite doing what she needed it to do. She did research, added more healthy choices to her diet. And then in April 2018, cholesterol dropped a little bit, but still in the 200s. She was super discouraged. She began researching more effective supplements. Total change in June, adding in activation. She passed the stress test in July with flying colors. The doctor removed all pharmaceutical meds, and she continued with her new activators and stack. And then Saturday, her biometric screening showed her cholesterol lowest it's ever been at 190. That's a drop of 59 points. Beat that, Lipitor. Doing a happy dance. No more beds and toxic side effects. So it all works together and makes things better. So everything is, there's research articles out there everywhere, scientifically proven to work. We got our big break on ABC Primetime. There's that video, and it shows just how well the product works when they were thinking they were going to show it didn't work. John Quiones will always and forever be on our product. He looks younger now than when he did that video. It's great. You can order from the original MarkZ or from me, because Mark gets credit when you order from me. And then the Cardio for Life, same thing. There's 2 links for them. But if you have questions and you want to know what would be the best stack for exactly what you have going on, because there's a couple of options. The NRF2 and the liquid collagen are amazing for blood pressure, and then, or just overall heart health. Pretty much anything health, especially if you have inflammation of any type. If you have any type of autoimmune disease, it's amazing for that. You can also do the heart health stack. That helps a lot of people. And then the one stack, the vitality stack that Mark is on. So there's just a couple of different ways that all make it work better. If you have questions, just text me. It is 704-249-5565. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.
Or it's right there on the bottom of the screen.
There you go.
Make
And
it
oh
easy
yeah,
for them.
don't forget, Mark's one of the best testimonials we have.
Oh, on blood pressure and all that with it. Yeah, huge.
Yep.
It has been awesome. All right, folks, unless there is breaking news, the show returns tomorrow morning. Thank you, Stacy.
Everybody, great day.
Take care.